The price tag of the self. How do you become successful when you have nothing? No money in the bank, no elite Ivy League connections, no massive inheritance, and no lucky break waiting around the corner. In a world that feels rigged, there is one tool that acts like a skeleton key for almost every locked door. We call it audacity. In America, we have a saying, "Fortune favors the bold." But in our daily lives, we are taught the exact opposite. We are taught to be nice. We are taught to be convenient. We are taught that modesty is a virtue that will eventually be rewarded. But here is the hard, cold truth that your high school guidance counselor never told you. Modesty is nothing more than artificial flowers on the grave of your success. If you're waiting for the world to notice your quiet hard work and hand you a crown, you are going to be waiting until the day you die. To understand why being nice is killing your potential, you have to look at yourself the way a consumer looks at a product on a shelf. Imagine you are standing in a supermarket aisle. You see two identical boxes. One has a bright, bold label that says, "Premium quality, the best in the world." The other box is tucked away in the corner, dusty, with a handwritten note that says, "I'm actually okay. Please give me a chance if you have time." Which one are you picking up? Your self-esteem is the price tag you hang on yourself. If you go through life constantly apologizing for taking up space, if you are always the one who says, "Oh, it was nothing," when you do something great, you aren't being humble. You are literally walking over to the clearance bin, grabbing a bright red 70% off sticker, and slapping it right on your own forehead. You are telling the world, "I'm a bargain, I am cheap, I am dispensable." And the world, being a very busy place, will take you at your word. They will treat you exactly like a discounted item, useful for a while, but never respected. This isn't just motivational talk. This is rooted in the very foundations of American psychology. In the late 19th century, the father of modern psychology, William James, came up with a revolutionary formula for self-esteem. He said that our self-worth isn't some mystical feeling. It's a mathematical ratio. Self-esteem equals success divided by pretensions. Think about that for a second. Success is what you actually achieve. Pretensions are the goals you set for yourself, the person you claim to be. James's point was that you can increase your self-esteem in two ways. You can either achieve more, or you can lower your expectations. Most people take the safe route. They lower their pretensions. They stop dreaming big so they don't feel like failures. They become nice and agreeable because it's easier than being rejected. They convince themselves that being low maintenance is a good thing. But in the 2026 economy, being low maintenance is just another way of saying you are an NPC in someone else's story. You are the character that helps the protagonist reach their goal, while your own story gathers dust. We have a massive bug in our mental operating system. We think the sequence goes like this. First, I get successful and educated. Then I become confident. And finally, I start acting bold. It's the other way around. Audacity comes first. Action creates confidence, and confidence eventually leads to success. If you wait until you feel ready, you will spend your entire life in the waiting room of history. You don't need to be an expert to start acting like one. You don't need permission from a boss, a parent, or a degree to declare your value. The reason most people stay stuck is what psychologists call the permission trap. We are conditioned from childhood to wait for the gold star, the A on the paper, the pat on the head. We carry this into adulthood, waiting for the right time to ask for a raise, the perfect moment to start a business, or the correct signal to speak our truth. But look at the people who actually run the world. They aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the most talented. But they are almost always the most audacious. They are the ones who are willing to be inconvenient. They are the ones who realized that no is just a starting point for a negotiation, not a wall that ends the journey. Being nice is often just a mask for fear. We are afraid of being called arrogant. We are afraid of social friction. We are afraid of the no. So we play the part of the convenient person. We say yes to extra work we don't want. We stay silent when our ideas are stolen. We let people walk over us because we don't want to make a scene. But every time you choose to be convenient for someone else at the expense of your own goals, you are committing a slow, quiet act of self-sabotage. You are training your brain to believe that other people's comfort is more important than your existence.
This video isn't an invitation to become a jerk. It's an invitation to develop what we call polite audacity. It's the ability to respect yourself so deeply that you refuse to accept anything less than what you are worth, while still maintaining the social grace to navigate the world. It's about taking yourself off the clearance shelf and putting yourself behind the glass in the premium section. But how do you actually do it? How do you flip the switch from being an NPC to being the hero of your own life? It starts with realizing that your value is non-negotiable. You don't have to prove you are enough every single day. You are a biological miracle, a 3 billion heartbeat glitch in the matrix, and it's time you started acting like it. The imposter tax and the audacity protocol. If you've ever felt like a fraud while doing something you're actually good at, congratulations, you're likely one of the most talented people in the room. There is a cruel irony in human psychology. The most incompetent people are often shielded by a wall of unearned confidence, while the high achievers are haunted by the feeling that they are just one mistake away from being found out. In the US, we call this imposter syndrome, and it is the primary reason why millions of brilliant ideas never leave the clearance shelf of the mind. Think of imposter syndrome as a modesty tax. It's an internal mechanism that forces you to downplay your value so you don't attract too much attention or risk being judged. But here's what the sources show. That tax is only paid by the nice people. The audacious individuals, the ones with what we call high agency, don't wait for the feeling of being a fraud to go away. They accept it as a passenger in the car, but they never let it touch the steering wheel. One of the most dangerous myths we believe is that we need to feel confident before we act bold. We think confidence is a prerequisite, but in reality, confidence is a byproduct. It is the garbage left over after you take action. You don't learn to swim by feeling like a swimmer. You jump into the water, struggle for your life, and eventually, the water stops feeling like an enemy. The same applies to your career and your social life. Audacity is the jump. Confidence is the result. So, how do we practice this without becoming a jerk? This is where the art of polite audacity comes in. It's the ability to be firm about your standards while remaining calm and professional. It's not about shouting. It's about the quiet refusal to accept less than what you've earned. The first step in the audacity protocol is what we call cleaning the internal mirror. Most of us have a distorted view of our own achievements. We remember every mistake in 4K resolution, while our successes feel like blurry coincidences. To fix this, you need to build your audacity resume. Not the one you send to a recruiter, but a list of things you've done that were genuinely difficult for you. Did you manage a chaotic family event? That's project management. Did you negotiate a lower bill? That's procurement. Success in one niche is a universal currency. If you are the best at something as niche as origami or a video game, you have the internal wiring for excellence. You just haven't plugged it into your career yet. The second step is learning to do inconvenient things. Being a nice guy or a sweet girl is often a strategic choice to avoid conflict. But if you are never inconvenient, you are never important. Think about it. A diamond is an incredibly inconvenient material. It's hard to cut, hard to find, and expensive. If it was soft and easy to work with, it would be gravel. Your value comes from your edges. Start small. Practice being inconvenient in low-stakes environments. Tell the waiter the steak was overcooked instead of saying, "It's fine," while chewing on leather.
Say no to a social invitation without giving a 3-paragraph explanation of why you can't go. No is a complete sentence. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve your goals, you are saying yes to your own future. You are training the world and, more importantly, yourself, that your time is a premium resource, not a public utility. But what if they get mad? What if they reject you? What if you fail publicly? This brings us to the most powerful tool in the American psychological toolkit, the "so what" technique. This is the ultimate shield against the fear of social friction. Whenever your brain presents you with a what-if nightmare, you counter it with 2 words. So what? What if I ask for a raise and my boss says no? So what? You'll know exactly where you stand, and you can start looking for a company that actually slaps a premium price tag on your work. What if I start this YouTube channel and my friends laugh at me? So what? People who laugh at others' ambitions are usually the ones who are too afraid to have their own.
Their opinion is the definition of a discounted item. What if I make a mistake in a presentation and look stupid? So what? You'll correct the info, finish the talk, and move on. In 48 hours, everyone will be too busy worrying about their own imposter moments to remember yours. The "so what" technique strips the power away from the worst-case scenario. It reminds you that most catastrophes in our heads are actually just minor inconveniences in reality. Once you realize that you can survive a no, you become dangerous. You become the person who can walk into any room and ask for the biggest seat at the table. Remember, you are a 3 billion heartbeat miracle. You are the result of billions of years of survival. You didn't evolve to be convenient. You evolved to dominate your environment. Modesty might win you a few pats on the head, but polite audacity wins you the world. But there is one final wall we have to climb. Even if you become audacious, how do you handle the intelligence trap? Why do the smartest people often feel the most lonely? And how does their silence actually work against them? The intelligence trap and the art of disappearing. There is a final invisible wall that often stops the smartest people from being audacious. We call it the intelligence trap. If you've ever noticed that the most brilliant people in your office or social circle are also the ones who talk the least and disappear the most, you've seen this trap in action. Intelligence comes with a heavy burden, the ability to see 1,000 ways a situation can go wrong. While a less intelligent person might dive headfirst into a new project out of sheer ignorance, the smart person is paralyzed by analysis. They are so busy being realistic and logical that they become the ultimate convenient person, quietly doing the work while others take the credit. But there is a secret strategy used by high-agency individuals that looks like a retreat, but is actually a power move. It's called strategic disappearance. In our hyper-connected 2026 world, we are conditioned to be always available. We think that being responsive and active is a sign of value. But look at how premium brands operate. A Ferrari isn't parked on every street corner. A Rolex isn't sold at a gas station. Their value is tied directly to their scarcity. When you stop being the person who answers every text in 3 seconds, when you stop attending every mandatory but useless meeting, and when you stop explaining your goals to people who don't have any of their own, you aren't being antisocial. You are performing a price correction. You are moving yourself from the mass market to the luxury category. You are telling the world that your focus is too expensive to be wasted on noise. This brings us to the moment of friction. When a nice person suddenly starts acting with polite audacity, the world doesn't always applaud. This is the retribution effect. The people who are used to your convenience, the boss who gives you extra weekend shifts, the friend who only calls when they need a favor, the partner who expects you to handle every domestic chore will be the first to complain. They will call you selfish, difficult, or arrogant. They will try to use guilt to drag you back into the clearance bin. This is the ultimate test of your new internal operating system. You have to realize that their anger is actually a sign of your success. If nobody is bothered by your boundaries, then your boundaries are too soft. True audacity is the willingness to be the villain in a lazy person's story so that you can be the hero in your own. Remember the formula from part 1. Self-esteem equals success divided by pretensions. When you raise your pretensions, when you decide you deserve a seat at the head of the table, your internal math will feel uncomfortable. You will feel like a fraud. Your brain will scream at you to go back to being convenient where it's safe. But you have to hold the line. You have to use the "so what" technique every time the social pressure starts to build. They think I'm being difficult. So what? I might lose this client by refusing a discount. So what? I'll spend that time finding a client who respects my rates. People are talking behind my back. So what? Let them talk. While they are busy narrating my life, I'm busy living it. We need to talk about the final cost of being nice. If you spend your life being convenient for everyone else, you aren't just losing money or status. You are losing your heartbeats. Remember what we discussed at the beginning of this journey. Nature gave every mammal a budget of 1 billion beats, but through the power of our minds and our science, we have pushed that limit to 3 billion.
You have been given 2 extra lives that your ancestors never had. Ask yourself, did evolution give you 3 billion heartbeats just so you could spend them apologizing for your existence? Did science give you 80 years on this planet so you could be a low-maintenance background character in someone else's drama? Polite audacity isn't about being loud. It's about being certain. It's about realizing that you are a biological miracle, and your time is the only non-renewable currency you possess. When you stop being nice and start being important, the world starts to rearrange itself around you. Doors that were locked suddenly have keys. People who ignored you suddenly seek your advice. Opportunities that seemed out of your league suddenly become your everyday reality. And it all starts with the simple, audacious act of refusing to accept a discount on your value. The clearance bin of life is crowded. It's loud, it's competitive, and it's exhausting. The premium section is quiet. It's selective. It's where the real work gets done and the real rewards are found. Take off that 70% off sticker. Stand up straight. Speak your truth without asking for permission. And the next time someone asks you to compromise your goals just to make their life a little easier, look them in the eye with the quiet confidence of an elephant in a city of hummingbirds. Your heart has 3 billion ticks. Don't waste a single one of them being convenient. Be audacious. Be inconvenient. Be important. Because the world doesn't belong to the people who wait for permission. It belongs to the people who take it.